All right. Oh. Hey, how you doing, guys? Welcome to another Pancakes live stream. Joy of Pancakes live stream. I'm going to be making one of the long-form portraits that you'll see on our Instagram and YouTube as a time-lapse video here in a couple days. Today, I'm going to be making a memorial pancake. A couple days ago, the legendary musician Bill Withers passed away. So we're going to be honoring today with a portrait. Got my colors mixed up over here. I'm actually using some colors from, we did a live stream. We dropped into a friend's live stream last night, and I did a portrait with them for the TV show Schitt's Creek. But I decided to salvage some of those colors since I knew I'd be coming in today. And I only had to mix a couple extra ones for Bill Withers' portrait. So I've got all my colors mixed up, and I'm just going to get started. Last time I forgot to start this, recording this for those of you who have not seen me work long form before, one of the first things I do when I'm trying to make a really detailed portrait is I'll heat my griddle, but I'm not going to leave the heat on. What I really want to do is I just want to get like some residual heat in the surface of it, so that the first couple lines, which are some of the most important lines, the facial features, set, so that they don't bleed as I add more colors and lose definition. So having just a little bit of residual heat, I turn the griddle on and then I turn it off, and it's probably too hot for me to touch, so I'm going to be using this towel to sort of protect my hand and still get the stability of resting my wrist. But yeah, one thing here, I'm going to show you guys my reference image that I'm using here. This is just a picture of Bill Withers that I found on Google. One thing that is worth noting is that, especially when I'm doing these long-form videos, I want to try and find the highest resolution image I can. Now, this image is a little bit like it's kind of an old photo, and if I zoom in, there's a lot of film grain and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like the most ideal reference image, but I really like this picture of him. Like, I mean, this is a picture of him in his prime. He's smiling. He looks very happy. It captures a nice moment. It's still not quite as high definition as I'd like for, you know, perfect accuracy, but a lot of this is art, so I can wing some of that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that on its side, zoom all the way into his eyes, and that's where I like to start. I like to start on the eyes, because I learned a long time ago that you can do all kinds of beautiful work, and if you get the eyes wrong, you mess the whole thing up. I'm going to go close this door real quick. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, just close it behind you. Beautiful. Let me see. Well, real quick, I'm going to test this out, see if...
that'll send it out to all of them.
Cool. Arrow. Cool. Gotcha. Cool. Ben's showing me how to use the live streaming platform we've got set up if we're streaming to multiple services. So that way I can see what y'all are saying to me. And, hey, Christopher. Hey, Aradana. And Kim. Thanks for coming in. Felicia, thanks for coming in and checking us out. Alexis, hello. That's fine. That's fine. You're at an angle anyway. So. Alright, cool. Good to go. Yeah, man. And this is just going to automatically switch over here?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Right on. Alright, guys. Sorry for the little distraction there, but reboot this. A little bit more heat back in the griddle, because I got a little distracted there trying to get my life together. Haley, how are you? Oh, hey guys. Look at all you. Hello from Egypt. Wow. Neat. Alright. You're back. Why are you back? Leave me to my people, Ben. Later, dude. Alright, Bill Withers, here we go. Ben's got to get his coffee. He's just going to keep interrupting. No peace allowed. Later, man. Start on the eyes. So I was mentioning that I really like to have as high definition of a reference image as I can, and I think one of the big reasons for that is because it lets you get a lot of details in the eyes without having to sort of wing it. May not have that luxury this time because the image has so much film grain. It's an old photo, a little pixelated. But I mean, sometimes that can be a blessing too. It gives you a lot more leeway in how you ultimately draw it. Oh, I forgot to grab something. Good to have some of these pointed Q-tips at the ready, because they're one of the best ways we've found to fix mistakes as you go. You can sort of sculpt the pancake into the shape that you want it to be in once it's already on the griddle, so you don't have to be perfectly, like, you don't have to lay your lines down in perfect order. You can actually go back and fix them a little bit. A little bit of hi guys. Greens, Mahir Ali, style pancakes. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. It's very gratifying to have people interested in the process and interested in what we do. Cool feeling. Draw with an audience. It's very chill and quiet where I'm at. It's nice to be able to just kind of look over and see. Oh, check this out. Rome, Georgia. What's up, Enzo? Probably the most important part of doing the eyes is once you get the first one drawn, you have to sort of figure out how far apart the corner of the other one is. It's very easy to make eyes too far apart or too close together or off somehow. One's bigger than the other. It's not really, I don't really have a particularly dependable technique for it. I've tried doing grids and stuff like that. Usually I just kind of wing it, you know, I just kind of ballpark it. Do my best. Get as close to correct as I can. I try to keep in mind is a straight line across, like the reference image I have, his head is at a slight angle, so one of his eyes is going to be slightly lower. And if I mess that up, then later on when I draw the rest of it, his eyes are going to look cattywampus. So it's really important to pay close attention to those sorts of things. Cheyenne. I'm doing very well today. Very relaxing day. Just here hanging out with my YouTube, my Facebook, Instagram. Making some beautiful art. It's a privilege to get to show you guys the process, Ardana. All of our YouTube videos are always so sped up, so it's, you know, there's something interesting to see behind the curtain. See the time and consideration goes into it. Problem is, there's a sweet spot, right? There's a sweet spot to where the griddle is not too hot, too long. If I accidentally mess that up, what can happen is these first lines can start to peel. So one thing I might do to try and compensate for that is color in around it early. Like normally I'd go back and do this later, but I'm worried that these lines might peel because my griddle's so hot. Turn it down and make sure it's not going to be too much of a problem going forward. But yeah, if I go back and add these color layers, it can sort of help prevent it from peeling too much, and then I won't lose as much of my definition, which is a really important part of the process. Making sure that the lines you put down stay flat. It's the one problem with using that heat technique I was mentioning, is that if the lines start to peel, you lose all your fidelity, and then it's just in the butt. It's easy to get lost, like as I draw this other eye, to get lost in this, and then this one's misbehaving while I'm not paying attention. Colors in order over here. Hopefully, that's enough to keep those eyes from misbehaving too much. We'll see. Is it possible to make a portrait with 3 colors only? Yeah, it totally is. The thing about, I mean, obviously I'm going a little crazy here because I'm trying to make something a little bit more painterly, a little bit more realistic. But, you know, I mean, you can draw a face with 1 color on a piece of blank paper, which I guess if you were doing it with Pancakes, it'd just be the contrast color, the darker color, and then the plain fill, which would be your paper. But yeah, contrast is the thing. As long as you have at least 2 colors that look different from one another, you can do anything. You can do any shape. And you can do portraits with just doing shapes. You know, if you've ever seen somebody that does caricature, a lot of times they're just using a charcoal pencil, you know? It's not really... The only thing that the extra color adds is visual interest, I guess. You know, being able to create something that looks a little bit more true to form. Let's see. I'm gonna do this. A lot of sort of dynamic outlines and things that I sort of am going to come back and, like, as I look at this image, I have to decide, you know, his nose. If I look at it, like, there's obviously dark lines here towards the corner of his nostrils, and there's dark lines in places, but there are whole shapes on that nose that are outlined in more of it, like the highlight is what really picks it out, and so you'll see me dance back and forth a lot on the colors that I'm using as I draw. Instead of just doing like one color for all the shapes and stuff, switch my colors to try and get something a little bit more reflective of how it actually looks. Color dancing going on. Second layer, so you can see. Go back over the lines I'm doing right here. My handy dandy Q-tip. Sort of make that outline a little bit finer. Let's see. How long have I been doing pancake art? China asks. I've been doing pancake art for, it depends on where you decide that I started. I started dabbling in the medium when I was a fry cook about, oh geez, how old am I now? 30. Oh my gosh, it would have been 10 years ago. So I've been it sneaks up on you, man. So I've been dabbling in the medium of pancake art for about 10 years, but back then I was not using this particular technique of having different colors mixed. I was really just drawing shapes on a griddle as part of my fry cook day job, where I would actually make a round pancake, and then I would make smaller pancakes in the shape of like a smile and eyes, and stack them to make smiley faces, sort of like the way Mr. Potato Head stack, you know, with separate pieces. And yeah, when I started doing this, it was just that, for better tips, and I did that for several years before a photo of me went viral. And in November 2013, I got to be on national TV, and so 2013, 2014, I probably late 2014 is when I switched to this technique, where I actually used colors mixed into individual bottles of pancake batter to do like full color pancake art. So yeah, I've probably been doing it this style for about 6 or 7 years, and I have definitely grown a lot, like artistically, since then. I've learned a lot about the medium and about what's possible. Just feel okay. My most used color. That's a great question. I find that different shades of brown or copper tends to get used more often than anything else, if only because the number one thing I tend to draw is portraits. Portraits of people, portraits of pets, that sort of thing. And most things I'm drawing use various shades of browns and tans as their base colors. Otherwise, it's just plain batter. when I draw pancakes, the first, like the eyes, the nose, and the mouth tended to take longer than the rest of the pancake combined, if only because these are the defining features of the person. These are the things that make them look like them. If you don't make them look like them, it doesn't look like them. What are you freaking doing then? You know? Trying to find the corner to the mouth. Sharp. I used to be a lot less patient. It's like, I'll sit here and I'll work on this for, doesn't matter how long. I'll take all day long if I have to. I mean, even sometimes when I'm taking my time like this, I can still mess it up, you know, like. But generally, if I come in and just have a sense of patience and don't move past a part until I'm satisfied that it looks correct, usually the finished pancake will look pretty good, even if it's not, you know, perfect. Let's see. You draw a lot. You draw a lot before making pancake art. I drew a lot in school. Instead of doing my homework and stuff, I was the kid that would sort of sit in the back of math class and doodle. I drew comics for the student newspaper, and like even back as far as elementary school, I was the kid that I was that kid that you'd see at recess who was tracing the Pokemon from the Pokedex book they got in the Scholastic Book Fair and trying to sell them. You know, every now and then somebody would give me their lunch money because I traced Pikachu or something. I guess I've always been kind of a self-taught artist entrepreneur. Yeah, the teachers were not okay with that though, so I shut that down pretty quick. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm self-taught, so, and I think that in a funny way, pancakes have become like the thing I'm best at, you know? Like, a lot of these skills are certainly transferable to other mediums, but it's funny to think about the fact that, like, I'm best at pancake art. Of all the things I could be drawing with, pancakes are the thing I'm most comfortable drawing with, just because the universe is silly. Interesting lip shape. Big thing to capture this picture is that his teeth do not meet. So there's like that. Is this the only art you do, or do you do other things as well? Asks Alicia Joanne. I do a lot of other creative stuff. Basically, you name it. Like, even if I'm not good at it, I want to be involved in it. Like, I'm really interested in video game design. I have this enormous project I've been working on for about 5 years that has absolutely nothing to do with pancake art. It's a board game called Anthromancer. I've actually been thinking about launching this Kickstarter project right now during this quarantine, just because I guess it sounds like people on Kickstarter are not dissuading people from doing that. Anyway, what Anthromancer is it's like this big multimedia project. It's a board game and it's an original oracle, which means that it's, you know, kind of like tarot. You can do like fortune telling stuff with it. And there's a concept album. I'm also a musician, and I actually use music to draw out some of the themes, deeper meanings of the stuff I'm trying to express in the project. It's definitely a lot. And one of the hardest parts of creating this has been figuring out how best to communicate it to other people, like what Anthromancer is. I'm not gonna do a great job of pitching it while I'm focusing on this. But if you go to anthromancer.com and check that out, just give it a run through, see if it's something you're interested in. I know it's not going to appeal to everybody, but we've kind of learned the hard way how cross-promoting something like that isn't always the best idea. People follow Pancakes for pancake art. Shoving board games in their face. That being said, it's definitely like my baby. It's my passion project. It's a thing that I've been working on super hard for a very long time, and I'm really excited about it coming out. You know, I'm really excited about the opportunity for other people to see it and sort of create a community with it. I think it's got the potential to be really successful. All that jazz. Teeth are an interesting thing because there's a gel color that so all this stuff that I'm using here is gel colors. Gel colors mix into the pancake batter, and you can get any color in the rainbow with them. But one of the gel colors in particular, which is the white gel color, tends to cook like dramatically brighter than anything else. I think there's actually a little bit of titanium in it. And so the white stands out so much from all the other colors that you have to be very intentional with the way you use it. Like if I made his teeth entirely white, they would look really weird. Instead, I'm just going to like highlight them a little bit. And then I'll even do some shading. Very easy to overdo teeth. Like you can make them very uncanny. If that makes sense. The word can they use to describe some of the teeth I did on a Bill Hader a while back. He was like, yeah, that's uncanny, man. That's weird. So then I'm just going to use the plain batter to do the rest of these teeth. Sure hope that looks okay. The plain batter, you know, you'd think it wouldn't be that different from the white, but the way it cooks is a little bit different. So it's just one of those things you learn from trial and error. How long does it usually take for you to make a pancake? Says Tyrannosaurus on YouTube. It depends. It depends entirely on how elaborate the pancake is, how realistic I'm trying to make it. For a portrait like this, and I think if I wasn't talking through the process, I might be going faster. But for a portrait like this, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. I guess it depends on how much I hesitate or how many mistakes I have to fix along the way, you know, like if I accidentally overdo something or, you know. This one, how far am I? This one's taken, I'm at 25 minutes now, and I'm almost done with his facial features. So this is probably going to take me about 45 minutes total. Because after this, I have to go and I have to do his facial shape and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it really depends. Sometimes it depends on how good I'm feeling that day, you know? Like, did I get enough sleep? And that doesn't include, like, all the prep time. You know, like the time that we take to mix our batter and stuff like that, which wasn't that long today because I mixed these last night for a different live stream I was doing. So after I do these big old smile lines, I'm going to want to come back and sort of sharpen them. It's one of the things I've learned is that it's really important not to have big blobs at the end of your line strokes. You want them to be to taper off for the most part, depending on what you're drawing. For the most part, you want to have those blobs taper off as sharp as you can. It really makes them look more like brush strokes and just more pleasing to look at. Not sure if you can see right there, but right there at the top. Usually at wherever you start a line, there's going to be like a blob of batter that comes out. So it's just nice to go back, sharpen it down. One interesting thing about doing that is that even if the pancake isn't perfect, even if the shapes and stuff aren't perfect, the fact that you go back and taper and do that, make it look like it was all really intentional, tends to make it look like a nicer work of art, like a more intentional, cohesive piece of media. Like, oh, they meant to do it that way. How about communication? Ardana on Facebook asks, what do you do with all these beautiful pancakes nowadays? Do you eat them afterwards? Too beautiful to be eaten, though. Yeah. With these ones, we actually have started, we extended our studio right before all this craziness happened with the pandemic. And we have an addition on our studio where we are basically freeze drying them and then building frames so that we can sink them into resin and hang them on walls. We really want to start taking pancake art seriously as an art medium. And, you know, a big part of that is selling your art, selling it as fine art. And so we've been working on this dependable method to sort of freeze dry and seal our pancakes so that we can do that. Very, very excited about it. We've been working on this for, I mean, we've been trying to figure it out for probably 5 years. You know, we haven't always stayed focused on it because life gets crazy, but we've got it to a pretty consistent process. You know, you finish a pancake, stick it in the freeze dryer, and then you can seal it afterwards. And I'm just really excited about being able to take a pancake that I take forever on, like this Bill Withers, and then go online and say, hey, did you guys like watching that Bill Withers pancake come to life? Were you interested in that? Well, now you can buy it and put it on your wall. How's that sound? I'm really excited about that. I think there'll be some people that are interested in it too, you know. They're like meaningfully like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. I'd like to have that Bill Withers on my wall. We've already sold, this is the first time I've ever sold a piece of art of my own. There was a Joker pancake that we did that I was very proud of the way it turned out, and we preserved it. And sold it through our website, and I want to say it sold for like $350, which, like, it's the first thing I've ever sold. It felt really, really special. I was like, that humbled me, made me feel, you know, it made me feel cool. I was like, that's really fantastic that we're able to do that. Let me get these colors back in order here, because sometimes I get a little carried away and can't quite remember. What are you? You go there. Okay. Let me go there. It's good to make sure you keep it all together so that you don't accidentally shade something one shade too bright or too dark. All right. So that is his facial features. Let me think here. What's next? Let's go over here and let's mess with his. He's got some big old sideburns. Justice to these sideburns. Very classic. Yeah. here. Over here, his head is actually his eyebrow basically touches his hair on that side, or at least from the angle he's at. Very no widow's peak, very very straightforward forehead. Go with it. And now I'm going to outline his cheek here. I'm actually going to use a lighter tone because there's some highlighting going on over on the side. Just going to put lighting. Wide chin. And that, not super satisfied with that. So we're actually he's got this beard actually. Texturing here. This isn't quite perfect fidelity to what I'm seeing, but I definitely see some. Some lines here that would have implied that there is facial. Neck. I can probably come up here and outline the rest of his head. That feels good. Sometimes you get it the first try. Here. Ears don't have to be perfect, but it is nice when they have some definition. It makes them look more interesting. Let's see. We're going to use black for his collar. those off, I think. That's a little better. It's amazing what a difference a freaking millimeter can do when it comes to like feature placement or neck thickness or that sort of thing. It does make a big difference. Just kind of a very, very light highlight around the exterior of his hair there. Very, very dark brown. Everybody's hair is got a couple of different other shades of color. Even people with really, really black hair, you know, use some blues, some midnight blues to sort of add some texture, a little bit more interesting to look at. But most of the rest of that I'm just going to fill in. Okay, so we've got basically all the line work done here. Now I'm just going to kind of come through and try to do my best to shade this in a way that isn't too, I don't know. And just kind of pick out all the zones where shading exists and do my best to shade it appropriate. I've got several different browns and flesh tones for that. There's certain things you want to try and make sure you get, even if you exaggerate it a little bit. Like he's got a little crease here. And like those little eyebrow creases do a lot to communicate like personality, I guess would be the word I would use. Hey, David White. Yeah, this is a Bill Withered's memorial pancake. Video. Ryle Pancakes asks, how long is the shelf life of the pancake mix you make? Are you asking like the dry batter? Because I mean, once we mix the batter, we really try not to use it more than 24 hours afterwards. Because what happens is the oils in the batter and in the icing gels start to separate, and that can cause some really strange textures and problematic things when you're trying to actually draw with it. So we try not to. We really, I mean, it's always best to have like fresh batter. Like the fresher your batter, the better. As for the dry mix, I mean, that stuff usually lasts for years, you know. Come through, and what I'm doing right here is I'm picking out highlights, places on Bill's face that I can see bright light reflected. I might actually switch to. There's a little bit of. I have a couple different possible shades for highlight colors. jump between them, create great, interesting gradients. Highlights are great because you can use them to illustrate features in ways that are a lot more convincing than if you just tried to draw it with, outlines. Takes it, if you do your shading and your highlights properly, that's what really makes it look more like a piece of art, more like a painting, and less like a cartoon. So yeah, cartoons are art too. I'm not trying to talk smack on cartoonists or anything like that. Just a different kind of art. Really what I'm doing is I'm just kind of taking a look at the image that I'm drawn from and trying to pick out zones that are more or less the highlight color, the shading color, that sort of thing. More or less. Ballpark, like, it's not necessarily about being perfect, but if you pay close attention, you can make something that looks pretty, like, you'll be happy with it, like, perfection is a false ideal, but do some pretty cool stuff if you're patient and try and make it as good as you can. Even if it's not exactly the way you see it, there are certain things that it's worth picking out and drawing attention to. Like, you'll see that I put like a line right there on the image I'm using. The highlight isn't that stark, but it is still important that these sorts of highlights around like the smile lines and stuff are able to show through, because a lot of character exists in those. A lot of character. Come back to some of the darker shade. I think after this, just got the one more color, and that's going to be my fill, basically. When I say my fill, I mean I'm going to go over, aside from the color of his hair, which is going to be another thing. I'm going to basically fill the rest of the skin tone in with one color. Once I've done all the shading that I want to do, drawn out all the shapes I want to draw attention to, and that sort of thing. Go back with your dough. See how it turns out. Is that right? I think so. Yeah, I think that's it. It just seemed a little light. It should be fine. Contrast is an important part of this process. Face has been all filled in. I'm going to do a little bit of dark brown on his shirt here. He's wearing a dark brown shirt. And then we're going to fill in his hair. Oh, that is not the right one. That's okay, it's dark enough. Shouldn't be too big. That out of there. Once I finish this process and start cooking it through, I'm going to turn to the chat and answer a couple of y'all's questions, so bear with me. Now, last part. I like to, once I've got somebody done, I like to use my bright white as sort of an outline color, because that gives a lot of contrast. The only time I won't do this is if, for whatever reason, I used the white to draw line work. Last week I did a Hayao Miyazaki, and he has this stark white hair. And so I used white to do the line work on his hair, just to sort of highlight it and stuff. And so it doesn't make sense to outline something that you drew in white with white, because you'll actually lose that contrast and lose the shape. But with this one I didn't use any of that, so I'm going to get to do the whole outline in a bright white. Hopefully really brighten it up and make it really clean and crisp. So we're going to turn that on. I'm going to outline it one more time with plain batter. Sort of the final step. And I'm going to do a little bit of backing. And what this is just like a little bit of extra pancake batter just to thicken it a little bit, make the pancake a little bit stronger. And in the case that I accidentally missed a spot, didn't fill something all the way in, it will fill that spot in. It also, because it's white and it's behind the pancake, it has a tendency to brighten whatever I did, whatever it's on the other side of. So, do that. A little bit more backing. Tiger Tomato on YouTube will back the entire pancake just for show. I guess the way I do it, the batter I use isn't thick enough to really lend itself to that super well. So we just kind of go crazy and do all this doodling on the back. So now that Bill Withers is cooking, let me take a look here. We got, let's see, David White. 10 videos said how long will it take for me to complete. We're at 50 minutes, so I overshot by about 5 minutes. I thought this was going to be 45 minutes. It took me about 50 minutes. Kelly, amazing detail. Thank you, Kelly. David asks, do you find that drawing with batter is harder, easier, or about the same with pencil or pen on paper? That's an interesting question. I'm at a point where I am more comfortable with the medium of pancake batter because I've got so much more time clocked on practicing with it. It's definitely more forgiving to have pencil and paper. You can sketch things. You can make mistakes and erase them. you can really take your time, and you're not fighting a liquid, you're not fighting a heated surface. It's a lot of, and you're also not drawing in reverse. You know, there's a lot of different things that make drawing with pencil and paper just substantially easier. But I feel like just because of how comfortable I am with the medium now, like if I want to make a really beautiful painting of somebody, I'm gonna probably be better at doing that with pancake batter, because I don't have the experience with like oil paints or something. You know, like I understand shapes enough. You could teach it to me, but it would take me probably a lot of practice to get to a point where I'm as good with that as I am with this. Melvin from Houston, how are you, Melvin? Good to hear from you. That's awesome. It's really cool having people check in and seeing people that I recognize from places. Pretty soothing to watch this. Yeah, it's very zen. It's very zen for me too. Ryle Pancakes asks if I draw in digital. Not really. You know, I'd be capable of it if I had like all the tools I needed to do that with. Our other artist Dana does a lot of digital art. Most of my art that isn't in pancake batter is music or game design stuff. Why outline with plain batter instead of a second bright white line? I think the main reason that I justify it is because like having the contrast, it makes that white line almost like a glow. Like it makes it stand out more. If I did a second white line, that'd be fine too. That'd probably be, you know, acceptable. I also have a larger amount of plain batter, and I only have a small bottle of white. So like to do all that stuff on the back, it's just more economical to use the plain batter without particularly different results. Let's see. Best regards from Poland. Thanks for checking in from Poland. That's really cool. Have I ever burnt pancake art? Yeah, I have. I've totally burnt pancake art. It's kind of one of the risks that comes along with it. We are about to flip this over, by the way. This looks like it's just about done. Let me go ahead and ease Bill Withers off the griddle here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What do you guys think? I like it. I think that the one thing that's standing out to me, and I'm not sure if it shows up as much on the camera, is that line I did on the bridge of his nose might be a little bit bright. But you know what? Mistakes are delicious. Of course, I'm going to be harder on myself than anybody else is. Yeah, I think that's... Usually I have to like look at it on a screen for me to decide whether or not I like it. Because like, I don't know, something about looking at it in person. It's tricky. No, I really like how that turned out. Pretty cool stuff. What's my IG? Well, Dancakes, if you look up Dancakes, D-R-D-A-N-C-A-K-E. So here, I'll actually type it in the box here. That's our handle. I also have my personal handle is Daniel James Drake. If you want to follow that, I don't mind it. And it's Daniel J. Drake on Twitter, if you're interested in following any of those things. So yeah, let me position this a little bit. This is going to make its way. The still, usually I'll post the still images to my personal page, and then the time lapse will make its way to YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. One more thing I'm going to do, because this is a memorial pancake, and this is something that we like to do with our memorial pancakes, is we write out the dates, write out their birth and their death day, and say rest in peace. So let me just make sure I have all that correct. All right. Born July 4th, 1938. Passed away March 30th. Wild. 1938 to 2020. A long life, man. Use Me Up has been playing in my head on loop while I've been drawing this. Like, I can't hear the music that's in the live stream, so I've just been in a silent room, quietly listening to these songs in my head. There he is. Sad. You know what? That's life. He left us some really beautiful music to listen to. Very talented man. Alright, so now I'm going to plate this. Sort of the last step of these processes. Got a cabinet full of plates. Make sure I get a good one. And afterwards, I'm going to set this on some wax paper. I'd like to hold it. One shot. Throw it away. That was 59 minutes and 38 seconds. Start to finish. Alright. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Whoever threw that paper on Twitch, your birthday's July 4th. Share it with Bill Withers. It's a pretty good one. Thank you all so much for watching this. Scrape away these letters now. Might snack on them later. We are definitely getting into the habit of just live streaming anytime we come in and do content. It's really, I mean, now that we have this set up, it's really easy. We can basically just turn it on. And it's really rewarding, I guess. You know, like normally I'm just in here keeping it a secret, doing this by myself. But the fact that y'all are tuning in and watching and asking questions, and it makes it a lot more engaging and a lot more entertaining and fun. So yeah, I really appreciate all that you guys do for us, supporting us and telling people about us and keeping us entertained, and we appreciate you. We will be doing, remember to check us out on, we're doing a regular Friday live stream where you can come in and actually get a request from us. We'll make any picture you want. If you send us a donation, you can even send us pictures of loved ones. We can do personal things. And yeah, just keep following, keep watching, and thank you so much. Let me see if I can figure out how to end this live stream by myself. Stop streaming. Okay, I love you guys. I hope you have a great day.